Okay, so that was the Hebrew letter. And excuse my beat. I've been eating beets, so excuse my fingernails. Hebrew letter. And then the astrological sign, as we said, is the Libra card, which signifies today's the start of the Libra season. You also may be dealing with other Libras, Capricorns, Taurus, in your life right now. Either that's their sun sign, rising sign, or there's a lot of the Capricorn, Libra, and Taurus in your placements. Again, Capricorn and Taurus are earth signs, and the Libra, I think, is an air sign. All right. Libra is the sign of balance, harmonious environments, which is in nature, which is the natural goal of the law of justice. All right, so we're going to go to the faith card. Again, it's the card before justice. Well, a few cards before justice. Believing deeply in something, finding meaning above and beyond the material world, ethics and morality, philosophy, religious teachings and traditions, a conceptual framework against which things can be placed in context. In the preceding card, the Fool has discovered the underpinnings of consciousness. The magician and the priestess provide mechanisms which enable him to function in the world, while the empress and the emperor teach him rudimentary ways of seeing the world. But as these mechanisms grow in sophistication and complexity, they also present multiple challenges. Under the magician's tutelage, we may fall prey to unscrupulous mentors. The priestess may be misleading us with illusions, chimeras, and wishful thinking. The empress can smother and stifle our individuality, and the emperor can exemplify the worst that humanity has to offer as evidence of mankind's tragedy. And to avoid those succumbing to the endless dangers inherited in the previous four cards, the Fool must now develop a larger sense of meaning that supersedes the imperatives of the empress and the emperor. This sense is usually thought of as religious in nature. So now the emperor, all of those other cards are speaking of like people, like things, entities that people can manipulate. But then faith has to come in. Like after you deal with persons on a physical level, you need to go into the spiritual levels. As we shall see, it needs not encompass a specific religious ideology. It has to be spiritual. This sense of meaning is what allows us to develop a feeling of concepts of right and wrong, which can help us keep the worst excess of the previous card at bay. It gives us a sense of balance. So again, it's justice, balance, having faith. You're going to be a little more, people who have faith or have like spirituality, they tend to be a little bit more balanced if they're not using it to manipulate people and stuff. So, which is religious, is not spiritual. It gives us a sense of balance, and we can appropriate the energies of the previous cards even handily. The sense of meaning shown by the faith card can comfort us in difficult times by giving us a higher ideal to believe in, to make us feel as if our lives are part of a larger purpose. On this card, you see him clasping his hands in contemplation. As in most tarot, this card is called the Pope or the Hierophant, and shows a specific male leader, often a specific religion. And this card is a generic card. It doesn't have any specific faith or religion attached to it, or even gender. The figure's robes could be implemented of any religion or none. Once you have faith in the code of ethics or ideal well-being, without necessarily believing in the supernatural. Although some religious orders require saving of one's head, in this card the baldness simply means that it has occurred naturally. Like he's naturally bald. It's not like a balding from a religious doctrine telling you to shave your head. In any event, this symbolizes an openness to a larger consideration than the mundane world. So having respect for other people that are different. The faith card represents the part of ourselves that is capable of placing the events, thoughts, emotions of our lives into greater context. So look at your life and what it is that you're asking, and then look at it from the broader sense. Let's see. This can include traditional religion and their trappings, but it can also include personal philosophies and beliefs that are unconnected with what we would usually think of as religion. While this card helps us deal with the shadow elements of the other cards, faith has its own shadows. The human tendency to avoid change leads us to invest our moral framework with the aura of infallibility, thus leading to bias and prejudices, which leads to bigotry. So we want to try to stay away from that. Much insight can be gained by carefully observing the actions of the leaders or organizations with even the most enlighteningly seeming goals. Undoubtedly, you will find that at least a few will demonstrate intolerance, inflexibility, and desires to use other faiths as pawns against each other for personal gain. So like Muslims against the Christians against the Jews, things like that. So when you're spiritual, you pull yourself out of that type of realm, and that's what these cards are asking you to do, is pull yourself out of the realm if that's some type of challenges that are going on. It is partly for the reason that the 9 symbols shown on the card are spaced evenly enough around the image and are connected by a glowing circle. No one outlook or framework can possibly define or explain the whole or reality. Each religion or philosophy is one facet out of endless possibilities, and none can lay claim on infallibility or exclusivity. Again, the Hebrew letter in the card means nail. In the faith card, we can see that to nail down philosophies and beliefs through intellectual meanings. As a nail penetrates, so we attempt to penetrate the unknown through the power of conscious thought. The astrological sign Taurus is the sign of creating practical, conservative routines. This relates to the aspects of faith that deals with creating and then remaining faithful to the framework and structure of meaning. So if you have a faith or philosophy, don't let other people deter you from that. Like, stay steady in that philosophy. Interestingly enough, you had 3 major arcana cards and no minor arcana cards. So that is deep. Hold on one second. And I do apologize that these readings are long, but as I get better at it, I'll not have to read all of this, but I think this helps to clarify what you think, what I think, and then what the actual documents on the cards say, to give you a well-rounded reading. So the Devil card, primitive, savage energy, hidden desires, aggression, addiction, obsession, anger, the results of repressing one's vital energy, avoiding responsibility by pretending to be helpless, and materialism. And we talked about Capricorn being very materialistic in nature, like they're very earthy. Throughout the sequence so far, the Fool has taken primitive energy, which when carefully monitored help him to accomplish difficult tasks. He first became aware of this energy in the Chariot as he struggled to control the willful horse needing to carry him forward on his journey. In Strength, the Fool focused most precisely on the energy and worked to develop a mutual beneficial relationship with it. In the Devil, the Fool must face the true enormity of his voracious entity, which is distressingly a part of his own personality. So this is something you're dealing with, your own personality. All right, what has been a mostly benign, if rambunctious helper, is now in the driver's seat. So he's been all over the place. Everything's happened to him, and now you're in the driver's seat, and you're dealing with your own emotions, your own crap, your own whatever it is. In prison, our Fool who cowers is fear and helplessness. So there's a fear and helplessness right now about what's going on in your life. The Fool's own hidden desires and aggressions have become his master. Analogies to everyday life are easy to find. Have you ever felt yourself in a grip of all-encompassing rage, so potent that you lose all control? Has your fondness for a person or a substance or activity ever crossed the line and become an addiction? In each of these situations, the inner savage primal energy has gained control of your life and is running the show. And all you can do, it seems, is to watch the train wreck your life is about to become. On this card, the Fool is shown in 2 different ways. The persona, the normal everyday consciousness of the Fool, is inside the cage. He huddles in a fetal position, incapable of functioning or even of raising his head above the cage floats. The Fool's inner devil, seen as the sort of horror movie version of the Fool, he holds the chains to the fool's cage. The devil main's power is that he is able to convince us that we will have no power, which is not true. As soon as we see through the illusion, which is, the truth that you are free, we are free. It is all a matter of perception, which can be changed. If we look carefully at these cards, we notice that the cage door is open. Of course, the fool can't see the open door because he hides his face in despair. Then we notice that the chains, which were loosely attached to the cage, but which do not actually touch the fool, and which prevent him from escaping. The fool seems to be having an abdicted responsibility for his life and placed the reins of the hands in the devil. In all such situations, there's a hard road and an easy road. The hard road is to lift one's eyes up, take the helping hand, extricts oneself from the loosely bounded chains. The easy road is to simply continue to stay the same, the status quo. The devil is powerful and weak at the same time. Powerful because the illusions are so convincing, and weak because all we need to do is open our eyes. All the tarot cards, including this one, shows extreme situations in order to make your point. Even the title, Devil, is a melodramatic tag for the concepts that doesn't refer to the devil or of the Christian religion at all, but to an archetype that is part of each and every one of us, or what Carl Jung refers to as your shadow. In a reading, the devil may refer to the obsession or the delusion, self-delusion. It may also simply signify that you are obsessive and self-delusions. It may also simply signify that you are being tempted to reach for something, not because you really want it, but because your inner devil wants it. And taking it may set you on a road that ends in the devil's cage. So be careful what you're asking for, because you might be asking for something that in the end is going to trap you. You don't want that. You want to open your third eye, heal your third eye, and manifest and really grapple with what we were talking about earlier. Grapple with what is it that you really want and take a different perspective. And if you go within and the perspective is the same, you haven't dug deep enough. You have to go dig deeper, because it's not going to be exactly the same as what you want. Say, if it is, then you didn't dig deep enough. Okay. Also, the greedy inner child tends to value only the material, ignoring philosophical or spiritual consideration. So that's the selfishness, that's the ego, right? We want it this way. And if we go forward in that way, it's what really ends up trapping us. For this reason, this card often been misinterpreted as materialism. Sorry, there was a call that came in. We don't need to look at the devil as an inherently frightening thing. We need this hidden and difficult to deal with part of our personality for survival and for strength. So this will make you stronger once you make these decisions that subdue the ego a bit. He is, after all, a part of us, and he will serve us well if we treat him gently, but keep him in a short leash. He only becomes frightening when we try to deny his reality, thus giving him more power than he is good for. So again, this one says, Aying focus on the materialism and interpretations. Usually the visual perception of material things is what instigates the desires to own them. Okay, so that's your reading for today. And if I can help you and serve you in any way, please let me know. And if you're watching this and you like the interpretation and it resonates with you, maybe that's your reading for you too. Other than that, we'll see you soon. Peace. Thank you, Brian, for allowing me to channel some energy for you as well. All right, have a good day, y'all.